In Lesson 16, we will begin our work with decimals. We'll be reading, writing decimals, ordering and rounding decimals, and changing decimals to fractions. As you view the tape, take careful notes. If you misunderstand a concept that I explain, or a problem doesn't make sense to you, stop the tape and find a tutor to assist you. Let's begin by talking about place value and decimal numbers. I've written down a really large decimal number, not a large decimal number, but I've written down a number that has a lot of decimal places. The number is 234.134568. We want to talk about how we read that number and how we understand the places in that number. So let's examine it. Okay, I've taken the same number and broken it apart into pieces. The part of the number that comes before the decimal, the 234, is the whole number. So in this particular number, my whole number is 234. Then you see the decimal point. After the decimal point, all the digits that you see over here is the fractional part of the decimal number. Doesn't matter how many digits there are, you're just going to be representing a fraction of a whole. The number of decimals really just determines what the denominator of your fraction is going to be. Now let's look at the different places. The first place is tenths. Notice the T-E-N-T-H-S. We don't have a ones place. The ones place was over here, and the tens and the hundreds. But on the decimal side, we don't have a ones place. We just have a tenths place, then a hundredths place, then thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, and millions. So it goes up by tens, like tens, 100,000s, 10,000, 100,000s, millions, except these have the TH on the end. What that means is they're parts of a whole. So these are the places that you need to learn. First place tenths, second place hundredths, third place thousandths, fourth place 10,000ths, and so on. Now what we're going to do is examine some decimal numbers that have fewer decimal places so we can talk about their meanings a little more. The first number I want us to look at is 2.3. As we're examining this number, the whole number part is the part before the decimal. So my whole number is 2. And since I just have one place after the decimal, the first place after the decimal is always the tenths place. So I have 3 tenths. So this is 2 and 3 tenths. So we can change 2.3 into 2 and 3 tenths. Let's look at another decimal. This one is 1.16. Well, we want to see what that really means. The whole number part of that, again, is the part before the decimal, so that's the 1. And this one has 2 decimal places. So the number is 16. And because it has the 2 decimal places, it's going to be hundredths. So we write the 16 over 100. So it's 1 and 16 hundredths. Look at another one. Again, here the whole number is 3. The number we see after the decimal is 23. And because we have 3 decimal places, remember it goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths, the 23 will be over 1,000. So we have 3 thousandths. Let's look at another one. Whole number is 4, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1,234 is the decimal part that we see, the fractional part. The denominator of the fraction, since it goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, is 10,000. So even though it looks like we have a whole lot of stuff there with the 1, 2, 3, 4, what it actually means is that we've split our whole up into 10,000 little pieces, and we're going to use 1,234 of those pieces. So we're actually only using a small fraction of it if we're only going to use 1,234 of the 10,000 pieces. One last one to change. The whole number here is 5. And if I write down 198345, 198345, and it goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, and then millions. So I need to write down a million. Something else you can remember, there will always be as many zeros with your 1 in your denominator as there are decimal places. Here we had 4 decimal places, we have 4 zeros. 3 decimal places, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decimal places, 6 zeros. So if I put my commas up here so I can read it, I have 5 wholes and 198,345 millions. So decimals are just another way of expressing fractional parts of things. Sure you can see this last. Let's make sure everybody saw this last one. The 5, 198,345 millions. The next thing we want to do is to look at a number written in decimal form and write the number out in words. So we're going to practice reading a decimal number that's been written in digits, and then we want to read or write its name in words. To do that, first thing we do is we read whatever the whole number is. We just read it the same way that you would normally read a whole number. Now the whole number is always the number that's to the left of the decimal point. After we read the whole number, then we come to the decimal point and we say the word "and" when we come to the decimal point. So you read the whole number, and then when you come to the decimal point, you say the word "and." And is where the decimal point goes. Then the third thing we do is we read the number to the right of the decimal just as if it were a whole number. So we read it just as if it were a whole number. And then we name the place value of the last digit on the right. So when we read that number to the right of the decimal, after we read it, the place value that we say after we read it is always the place value of the last digit on the right. If you feel that it will help, copy these steps down, and then we will put them into practice when we're reading some decimal numbers.